So it would seem that quite a few people got pretty upset that the Apollonian germ has a really big nose. It's not my fault the man has a really big nose and looks like a Jew. You know, he's God's child. God loves him. It's no big deal, guys. He's a handsome man. I'm sure he's got no problem. Um, well, I won't go there because maybe he's married. Anyway, he's a good looking man. Do I have a Jew nose? What do you think? Should I have one? According to these people, I should, but do I? Maybe I do. Anyway, I got an interesting comment. I keep coming back to this because, well, I guess I'm still trying to figure out why people aren't getting this, and maybe that's because I'm wrong. I don't know. Someone told me that I have a really low IQ, and maybe they're right. Anyway, Conflict Driven says that if you, I, are sincerely asking what a non-Christian, not necessarily an atheist, I don't really care what you are, has as a moral code, then I personally would have to say that morality is subjective, up to me. Right? When it comes to what I, as an individual, considers, are you picking up on the language? From what I heard from people with, triple-digit IQs, not like my double-digit one, is that there was a time in the past when people didn't used to talk like this guy, and I'm guilty of this too, but there was a time in history where people weren't talking like me, I, right? Personally, subjective, individual. There was a time in history where people were a lot less individualistic, and with French Revolution, Protestant Reformation before that, and the countercultural revolution, people just kind of became brats, and I'm a product of that too. Been working very, very hard to humble myself and realize that a lot of what goes on isn't up to me, right? And I wish you the same. But anyway, it would seem that we have three options here. Morality is objective, subjective, or it doesn't exist. Now, I don't think most people would say, or I don't know that anybody would say that there is no evil in this world, or that there is no good, or that there is no right or wrong, right? Right? Am I right or am I wrong? Okay, well then we could just toss that aside. Clearly there is a right and there is a wrong. So our other two options is morality is objective, meaning there are universal truths governing morality. Certain things are universally right, and certain things are universally wrong, and it's not up to I, me, right? It's not up to the individual. And you don't have to justify that by saying God created morality. Obviously, religious people will say that because God created everything to them, and they're probably correct. I tend to agree, but you don't even have to go there. Let's just consider subjective morality and what that really means, and see if you agree. Because every single person that says morality is subjective will turn around and tell another person how to act in order to be morally correct. But if you truly believe that morality was subjective, meaning what's moral, what's right, or what's wrong is up to me, I, or him, or her, or anybody else, then why would you moral fag? Why would you virtue signal, right? It would just fall on deaf ears. It wouldn't matter to anybody, especially not you. Because to say that morality is subjective is to say that whatever you think is moral is moral. Whatever you think is immoral is immoral. And I could have a completely different and even opposite opinion about that. And it's okay with you because you believe morality is up to you. But then when it comes to me, morality is up to me. There is no universal truth when it comes to morality. But no one believes that. Because everybody tries to tell somebody what's right or what's wrong. When you raise your kid, you raise them a certain way, right? Because you believe there are some sort of objective truths governing what's right and what's wrong. If you didn't, you wouldn't teach your children. You wouldn't tell anybody how to act, right? Or wrong. So while people use God to try to justify or explain objective morality, well, it makes sense, right? Well, where else did it come from? But you don't even have to do that, in my opinion, because by process of elimination, as soon as you say morality is, like this person here, that means there is a right and a wrong. So you can no longer say morality doesn't exist. So that's out the window. And then if it's not objective, but it's up to you, then what are you doing even talking about what morality is, or what this specific moral or immoral behavior is, right? We all seem to agree that murder is wrong, theft is wrong, rape is wrong, right? These would seem, even though I might not be able to give you a source or a proof of this, or you don't have to believe in the source of this as I may, the whole world would seem to agree that morality, that these, at least these certain things are objectively right or objectively wrong. Who would sit there and say that murder is, it's permissible to murder, it's permissible to rape? If you this is why the concept of, if you believe morality is subjective, you are evil. You have to be. Are you evil? No. Well, if you're saying that morality is up to every individual out there, I, me, then what you're saying is that it's morally permissible for them to do things that you consider evil, because it's up to them whether it's evil or not. But no one actually believes that. So morality has to be objective, unless there is yet a fourth option that I'm not thinking of with my, double-digit IQ, high double digits. So it would seem that logically morality has to be objective. Just because we're still debating, we don't know exactly. We agree on the big ones, right? Murder, rape, theft. But maybe there are certain things where there's no consensus, or we haven't quite figured them out, right? But that's because we're merely human. We're fallible. We can't possibly know everything, right? So just because we haven't figured it all out completely, that doesn't mean that it's not objective. Because everybody acts as if it were. And everybody, whether they know it or not, agree that at least some things, some moral precepts are objectively true. Well, then it must be objective. Because what's the other option? Living in a world where everything's permissible, morally permissible. Just because you may not like someone trying to rape you, well, then you could kill them. And it's all good. Them trying to rape you is morally permissible, and you killing them is morally permissible too. It's all good. Whatever's clever. Really? Is this the reality that we live in? Because that's what you're saying when you say that morality is subjective. That's how simple this is. Unless you think I am, in which case, let me kindly ask you to prove it. Can you? Try.